So I know you from Feed the Machine. That's how I heard of you. And then it wasn't until Sons of the South, which was when Andre was singing for us. T-Day was playing drums. I was playing guitar at that band. No. Sending Vessels is when we really started hanging out, right?
With Rob. Yeah.
That's when we really started hanging out.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little before that.
No, because we played shows. Sons of the South played shows with Tatas. I don't know why.
Yeah, we touched on that for sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any fucking sense, but it was awesome.
Yeah, it was. The Pit Stop. Crazy place.
Southern fried metal meets ska punk.
Yeah.
Also meets mad cow disease or whatever it was now. Whatever T. Dave caught over there.
The swine flu.
Swine flu from the stripper pole.
I seen Armand's younger brother get punched so hard in the face in a pit over there. Yeah.
It was probably a dart that hit him, bro.
No, I know who it was. I'm not going to call him out. But you know what you did.
It's called a dart hit.
Bastards.
Yeah, man, we go back for sure. This was 12, 15 years ago. So.
Yeah. So Tyler was there for pretty much every practice that Sending Vessels ever had, and that band was together for about 2 years and never played a show.
2 years, really?
Probably.
Shit.
It was a while. Yeah, we recorded some bullshit, but whatever. Nothing I'm really proud of. The music was good, I think. It was okay.
It was cool for the time it was purposed for.
But then at some point in that time frame, there was Much Like Mountains. Is when I think that was, I don't know, dude. It's so blurry. I
think it was 2012, something like that.
We'd have to go back and look on SoundCloud.
I think so.
But me and Tyler wrote 2 EPs in 2 nights.
We literally wrote 6 songs in 2 nights.
Yeah.
And this is the first time me and Tony ever jammed.
Right.
Like, with the intention to write music.
Yeah.
Right.
That was one of, I finally, because I always tried to get by on guitar and was, okay as a rhythm player. And then started really getting into bass guitar. And that's when it all started clicking for me. Because it just felt so much more natural. So it came to me way easier. And basically, Much Like Mountains was a couple bottles of whiskey and hanging out in Tyler's room
for 2 days.
Yeah. It was like I think it was 2 consecutive days too. It was like we got drunk, wrote a couple songs, and then the next night it went back. That was a time. That was when the Ivory Suns was just coming out.
Yeah, so it's gotta be like 12.
Yeah.
I'm checking now, but the cool thing about Much Like Mountains was it was instrumental reggae, psychedelic, jam indie rock, something. It was real groovy.
Yeah, the shit that I really dig.
It was real fucking groovy.
I can get baked.
Yeah.
And just chill.
Well, I remember Tyler just turned me on to If These Trees Could Talk. And
still
and if you
fan.
listen to Much Like Mountains, I think you could kind of hear that ambience kind of bleed into that.
You can, man. It's in there, and I still play a little like that. Just the tremolo picking with a bunch of reverb and 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
8 years.
Another project that never left the bedroom.
No, man, but it definitely got across though, because whenever we released these tracks, we put them on a platform called Reverb Nation, and this was probably one of the best places to upload music at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And what Reverb Nation did was they tracked your music and who was listening to it and how popular it was for on a nationwide level, a city level, a state level, things like that. And Much Like Mountains hit the top in Louisiana within 2 days.
Yeah, it was #1 New Orleans for the reggae genre, and it held that spot for it wasn't.
It was a few
tremendous
months,
amount
man.
of time, yeah, but it was a while, and it was also we won the Nichols radio station.
That's true.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
But for just a literal garage type setup,
yeah,
and
garage band, we weren't even on Logic yet.
It was just me and Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually practicing on GarageBand on a PS1.
Sort of fucking felt like. But dude, it was probably some of the most productive I've ever been when writing music.
Yeah.
But when
and
it's clicking, it's clicking, man.
Yeah.
You don't pull out of the zone when you know you're there.
Yeah.
But when you were saying earlier about how maybe the market is saturated because of social media right now and that type of thing, but I also feel like in our own lives, I've written more in the past year than I've written in a long time, and I think I don't know if it forced us to get deeper into it and just strive better.
It's always nice to be able to match someone else's energy, because that way you kind of like on the same wavelength whenever you're getting shit done like that. And it's few people you get to do that kind of shit with.
Well, look, and I'm not trying to make your head big, but I'm sure Cody would probably say this about you. A lot of people that know you personally will probably say this. You kind of bring out something, there's something about being around you that just makes things more natural to me when I create. Like it just, I don't know, something about being around you makes things flow out.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit that I wouldn't be able to do without him.
Yeah.
I could say that because he and I think it's just the production side of it, because a lot of there's two things with Tyler, and I've always said this. He's pretty much my favorite guitarist in the world, and it pisses me off. He really, really makes my ass raw because he makes it look so fucking easy. But on the other hand, when it comes to my writing and it comes to just even in my voice, the different tones, he has a good ear for it to where he can say, "Hey, let's try and go this direction" or whatever. That's a big part of it. When you got a bunch of dickheads that are just sitting around and you're rehearsing, bands don't normally tend to think that way.
It's the ego, man. The ego is always the thing that gets in the way. In my experience, and you don't need that if you want to create with friends. It's
know your place, know your part, because you know what. The things that I can do, you can't necessarily do, and vice versa, and so on and so forth. And then you just feed off of each other. But that's also immature, just being kids. I mean, I'm pushing 40 now, man. I don't think the way I did, when I was in bands back in the fucking 90s and shit.
Yeah, but you got to be able to tell somebody, like, I don't really like that. And they got to be able to tell you that too.
Yeah, it has to be a two-way street.
Yeah, I was trying to sing with a very deep voice one time. I like the songs that make... And Tyler just was not having that shit. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, Urban Western's going to be great with this tone. And he's like, no, you ain't doing it. You ain't fucking doing it, man. I fucking quit.
Man, when I feel strongly about something, which is this statement here that's currently coming out of my mouth, it means a lot to me. But... yeah, I could definitely say, like, when I'm trying to accomplish things on my own, it's not nearly as fulfilling. And when you have the other thought processes of people that you respect and people that, bring actually something to the table, it makes a world of difference for anyone who's creative. Because, dude, like, this pedal I've been playing with for the last 20 minutes. You have
non-stop playing with Tony's box.
I can't. I just can't help fingering these knobs. I love it. It's so cool. And that's what I was saying earlier, dude. Like, whenever you're able to be creative with someone else who's on the same wavelength but just has a different set of skills, it makes a particular culmination of that creativity into something that much better. And I think that's what happened with Much Like Mountains.
Yeah.
It just kind of like...
So that was just you two?
Yeah.
Everything was you two?
Yeah. I was playing bass and rhythm, and Tyler was doing leads and programming all the drums.
And it was just a cool winning formula. Like, and it was crazy if you go listen to the songs in order that they were created. You could hear it progressing into its own thing. Like, the first track, you could tell we just had a cool idea.
Yeah.
The second track kind of took form. The third track's really where it started, like, oh, this is what this is. And then we elaborate on it on each track afterwards, which is so cool to listen back to like that.
And it's not perfect, you know. It's
raw.
It's not the best, but I don't know why I'm so proud of it, and it makes me feel good
because it's fucking good.
Yeah,
it's fucking good, and that's the thing. It's a music that makes you feel good when you listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, shit that feeds the soul. That's you know, I can go to a really dark place really quickly, and I try to not do that, and that's why I listen to those genres of music, because that's what helps feed me in a positive way.
It's uplifting.
It is, and the thing is, you know, y'all were doing that shit on GarageBand back in the gap before, you know, Logic, you know, $200 plus plugins.
Yeah, it was
Final Cut, you know, for video editing.
I just got my MacBook that year, I think.
Yeah.
So I was learning all the.
But to think about the time, right, to where we didn't have any of that even.
Yeah.
To where you had to bring your amp and you gig bag and you hook up your guitar and then y'all chuck away at it to try and fucking get through shit. And there was always those people in every band I've ever been in. There's always that one or two that just wasn't fucking. They wouldn't show up for practice. They wanted the fame. They wanted to play. They wanted the girls. They wanted the money, but they never wanted to do their part. And that's the biggest thing, is finding that dynamic. Tyler and I knew from a very early point in this show that no matter who went or came on the mic, that the
okay.
That, no matter what happened, that the final dynamic of the show was us. And I think that it's weird because computers have taken a lot of that dynamic out. You don't have to worry about your people not showing up for rehearsal anymore, because you are the people. You are the band. You can put if you're good enough and you're creative enough, you can put everything together on a computer screen now.
Yeah.
You know, so the dynamic of live music has changed. You know, Tyler and I were talking the other day about bands now that, you know, even the ones that are doing Primus, right? Primus played a live show, sold I don't even know how many 100,000 tickets worldwide, made a ton of money a couple months ago playing this show, and all of their instruments run into an interface and then run into a MacBook via Type-C, then run into a board. I mean, there's not... Everything's digital.
It's completely digitized.
You know, it's changed the entire face of music.
Yeah.
Which I feel in some ways has degraded music, because back in the days when I had my little bands and, you know, doing house bands and touring and doing all that other shit with casino circuits and shit like that, and while you guys were playing at the pit stop and writing albums, EPs in a bedroom with a couple guitars, I feel like those days are somewhat over, because you can find any loop you want and write a song. You know, and I'm not saying that real musicians don't exist anymore. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that, yes, it's nice and it's convenient, but at some point, does it take away from what it is?
I don't think it takes away, because there's still those guys that are doing the raw, real, you know, stuff. You know, for lack of a better word that is escaping my mind. But it makes those real guys so much more special, and it makes them stand out so much more. You know,
it's like these guys play with amps. What?
Yeah, but the only problem is it makes it harder to find.
Right. You have to seek it out. I agree with that.
So there's that much more waste to go through. Type
so
shit.
That's the only bad part.
Of all the genres of music that you've ever been involved in, what do you like even today? What do you like to play the most?
Reggae music, bro.
Yeah,
no doubt
about that too.
No
I
doubt.
like that. I can dig that shit.
Any funky, groovy jam type is. I mean, I much rather play that over heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But heavy stuff's fun to play. I think it's fun to write. Heavy stuff is fun to write, but that's it.
Yeah.
I just get it. You know, like you just get it. You just get it, and you get it, and that's it. And heavy shit evolves and gets watered down. Get watered down. Like right now, in particular, heavy music, it's really like dated at this point.
Yeah.
The sound.
Because I might like a song that is heavier, but I'm always going to go back to reggae or even bluegrass. I like acoustic bluegrass and stuff like that. That's the stuff that I like, and I'm not saying I can't appreciate the rest. That's just not my go-to.
Yeah. And I like both, and I think it's because probably my favorite band growing up, still, it's not my favorite, but I still go back to them, was
Nickelback?
No. Which people would probably still laugh at me anyway. It was actually 311.
Yeah.
And it was because it was like you had Tim, who was doing like his punk thing.
Mm-hmm.
You had Peanut, who was doing his reggae like funk thing, and it was like reggae punk, really.
It's funny
Rap,
because there was a part of one of the Much Like Mountain songs that we were listening to in the studio the other day, and I even told Tyler, I'm like, man, that little part right there sounds like. Actually, I was wrong because, of course, I was fucked up again. You know how that works. And I said Blink-182, and then I corrected myself. And he was like, "Don't say that." He was immediately offended. He was.
I've never written anything that sounds
his
like
cisgendered white man came out and he was irate. But I love that too, and I know what you're talking about because the stuff that mainstream radio put out at the time for 311, and I feel that way with a lot of bands. Like the catchier stuff is kind of garbage, but their deep cuts, man. Mm-hmm. That was I like 311's deeper shit because it was just a different feel.
Yeah, just stop at sound system. Like listen to every album until you get the sound system and just
call it a day.
Then turn back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what you lose
kind of like
out,
Weezer's first album. After Weezer's first album, you don't need any more Weezer.
Yeah, they went pretty poppy, but I think going back to the digital versus analog style, or what we live in now, is basically you lose out on the jam part of the show, or the free roam part of the show that most people, I think that's just a back in the day type thing. I don't think kids really give a shit about that, but that's whenever you got to fucking pass around the joints. That's whenever you were able to take a swig of beer
and
down.
not just that, it's when the guitarist is really feeling it up there because he's feeling the crowd, and it just so happens that on the breakdown on the bridge he decides, you know what, fuck the lead line that I played on the goddamn album, I'm going rogue. And everybody goes nuts and they feel it, and nobody but whoever's in that room will have ever heard that solo.
That's what's missing out from this click track digitized version of live music. Because I promise you, 95% of all music now that's played to a click or has backing tracks do not have a section for free roam or improvised part of the show.
Yeah, it doesn't know that. It only knows the perfection of it.
It only knows what you programmed it to do, so you don't know that ahead of time. There's no in-the-moment type thing. It's just like this cookie-cutter piece. Here you go. We played this last night and the last 12 weeks type thing.
Well, everything has to be so rehearsed, It's and then you lose the spur of the moment, gut feeling,
And I think that's why we like the music that we do, is because there's always room for that. And especially when we're writing music, it's of course comes from that, but there's always a section or a piece of that music that's where that goes. This is where the sound of an improvised lead goes. This isn't a written part of the song. This is where you feel it out, and we know where those sections are. Or
even when something is imperfect. I saw Pepper for the first time at the House of Blues in Dallas, Texas, and bass player is also the lead singer. And 3 songs in, he was lit. You could tell. I mean, it's a fucking pot patrol, and he missed a few licks. And to me, it's like, you could say what you want, dude missed a lick. You could say all day long, oh, Peter Frampton, man, he went a whole show and it was absolutely perfect, never missed a lick. Okay, fine, but this dude's still on stage doing his thing, and it just goes to show he's still does it make him a shitty musician? No. He's awesome. It doesn't make him any less fucking good because he missed a lick.
I
appreciate that shit.
I like him more now because he's more.
I've done it.
He's more human. Like someone who I see, like the guitar players for Chan are inhuman whenever they play
Indigo
live.
Girls, same thing.
Dude, but John.
to fucking compare Chon to Indigo Girls.
Maybe first.
Thank you for listening to the Dank Swamp. Tune in Saturday for part